played at home to start a series against the Philadelphia Phillies, who started out the season way overachieving, but have really come back down to how sucky they're supposed to be over the past month. We beat them in a football game, as I mentioned, 14-10 Tuesday night, and then here Wednesday night we beat them by 1 run, 6-5. So we're looking for the sweep here Thursday, and that is a 12:10 p.m. a noon start time on a freaking Thursday. What the heck? What's up with that? Like, yeah, because Twins versus Phillies, we know nobody's going to the game anyway. We might as well put it during the workday. That way we have an excuse if we have it at noon. And then after that, they will head out to New York to take on the Yankees again for 3 games, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Saturday and Sunday's games are noon starts. Then we will have another Monday off before staying on the road next time we're talking sports. Twins will be out in Chi-Town with a 3-game series against division rival Chicago White Sox. Now, as far as the Twins go, pitching is about as bad as it gets. I've been trying to defend the pitching as being adequately mediocre enough to at least get wins from time to time. But when they need that defensive support, you can't be putting outfielders back there like Arcia and Sano and guys who just straight up can't field. So with Kepler being out there and right, man, has that improved things both at the plate and defensively. Buxton looking much more competent, we'll say, this time around here, both defensively and primarily at the plate. He's never really struggled defensively. We got this new kid, Grossman, out on the left. He's doing pretty good. I really don't like the disappearance of Rosario, though. I liked him. I'd like to see him return to that role some point in time this season. Who else we got? Nunez at shortstop, having an all-star year, since it's mandatory that there's someone from every team who is an all-star. Suzuki had a monster freaking game, almost hitting for the cycle in the football 14-10 score game the other night. So it was great to see him contribute. Plouffe is being what Plouffe always has been. We've never had a problem with Plouffe. We just don't understand how he fits in on this team with this roster, and that's still a problem for us. But so Twins at least finding a way to score enough runs here to win. Bunghole Park still hitting the ball fairly decent. And Mauer hitting the ball decent. Dozier coming around a little bit. So bats are looking good. Defense has gotten better thanks to personnel changes out there. Pitching is going to be what it is until this team decides to make some kind of trade of some sorts. So you're just going to have to grin and bear it and hope that the bats are hot, in winnable games, and hope that when the pitching's awful, just don't hit either. Save the hitting for the games where the pitching staff only gives up 4 to 6 runs, because that's what we're looking at for a minimum pretty much every time. But checking the baseball standings quick, like I said, Twins riding a 3-game winning streak. They are still 18 games out of first in the Central, behind the Cleveland Indians, who are 41-30. They're 3 games above the Royals at 38-33. Detroit Tigers 4.5 games out at 37-35. White Sox 5.5 games out at 36-36. In the American League West, you've got the best team in the American League and the second best team in all of baseball, the Texas Rangers. They are 47-26, 8-2 in their last 10 games. They are dangerous. Look out. The Houston Astros have finally turned it around. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. Granted, they're 10 games behind first place, but they're a game above 500 now, and they can compete for that wild card as we expected them to at the beginning of the year. The Mariners hanging around at 300. The Angels of Anaheim at 31-41, the Athletics at 29-42. Then in the ever-confusing up and down, back and forth East, we've got the Baltimore Orioles currently in first place, 41-30. Red Sox on a bit of a schneid. They are 2 games back at 39 and 32, followed by the Blue Jays, 2.5 games back at 40 and 34. Then we've got the Yankees a game below 500 at 35 and 36, and the Rays at 31 and 39. Moving on to the National League, we have the Nationals in first place in the East, up 4 games with a 43 and 29 record on the second place New York Mets, who are currently 38 and 32, 4 games out. They are trailed slightly by the Marlins, 5 games out at 38 and 34. Then the Phillies, 13 games below 500 at 30 and 43, and the Braves at 24 and 47. The only team in baseball all year that has been worse than the Minnesota Twins, and in fact, the Twins are now the worst team in all of baseball by 1 game. Yep, by a full game. They'd have to lose one and we'd have to win one to have the same record. So the Twins are officially the worst team in all of baseball. After a 3-game winning streak. Man, unbelievable. Out in the Central, we have the best team so far all year, the Cubs. Barely staying ahead of pace of the Rangers now in the American League, but they don't got to worry about that. They have a 47-23 record, 9.5 games in first over the Cardinals, who are 38 and 33. Pirates slumping 2, losing 8 of their last 10. They are now 34 and 38. Brew Crew, 2 games behind them at 32 and 40. And the Reds bringing up the rear at 28 and 44. Then finally out west, we've got the hottest team in baseball. And yeah, these guys would be the second or third best team. Third best record here, but coming up on everybody real fast. The even-numbered year, so we're going to win the championship, San Francisco Giants. Currently in first place, 6 games up on the Dodgers. Giants are 46 and 27. Dodgers 40 and 33. Then we below 500, the rest of their division in the West. We've got the Rockies at 34 and 37, the Diamondbacks at 34 and 40, and the Padres at 30 and 43. All right, that's it for baseball. Let's go to soccer. Our soccer quickie for the night is that there are 2 big soccer tournaments that soccer fans seem to care about going on right now. One is the UEFA Championship Tournament, and the other is the Copa Americana Tournament. If you're into soccer, happy soccer tournament viewing. I'm not. I don't know how much about what's going on. So, boom, now you know as much or more than I do. All right, moving on. Let's get our NFL quickie in. As our NFL quickie for the week is just another reminder to visit VikingsDigitalDiaries.com every week to check out my interviews with people. Last week I interviewed Star Tribune's beat reporter for the Minnesota Vikings, Matt Vensel, and this week I interviewed the one and only 3-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Jerry Ball. That's right, Scotty Ball and Jerry Ball, a pair of big old hairy sweaty balls together for the first time ever. It's can't miss. We talked about what it was like for him to play with John Randall and what their relationship was like. We talked about who his biggest rival in the NFC North throughout his career was, spending most of his time with the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. We talked about the heartbreak of the 15-1 season that he was a part of with us as well. It was just a phenomenally fun time, an excellently entertaining interview, and you need to go check it out again at VikingsDigitalDiaries.com. And if that's too much for you, I always tweet it and post it on my Facebook and on my Twitter. So if you follow me on Twitter at BDST Show, it's in the tweet. Just click on the link. If you like me and friend me on Facebook at Scotty-Ball, same thing. Just click on the post. Boom, you're there. Check that out if you're a Vikings fan or just a football fan in general or a Scotty Ball fan in general. Do me the solid. All right. Now, since I've got one more really quick one and then 2 slightly longer than quickies before we close out. In brief UFC news, George St. Pierre, also known as GSP, is apparently ready to return to fighting once again. He is not going to be a full-time regular fighter, but he does want to main event some big-time fights before he is physically unable to perform anymore in the sport. He feels he's got a little more legacy to cement and prove yet in those regards, and he is one of the greatest fighters, pound for pound, in his weight class and all around of all time, like him or not. So it is good for the sport and good for everybody that he is coming back, and we will keep you posted on when his return fight is announced and who it will be against. Alright, so we got 2 more topics left on the show, and I've got to say that these 2 topics remaining here that we're going to talk about is a perfect example of why yours truly, Scotty Ball, and what we do here on Balls Deep Sports Talk is one of the most unique experiences in the sports talk world that you can get. Our remaining 2 topics, which we're going to talk about in longer detail than we did the NHL and Major League Baseball and NFL, most likely, at least. Or there's more content. I don't know if the time will be different. But anyway, PGA Golf and WWE Pro Wrestling. You tell me, okay? Give me one other sports show that is going to devote actual, segment time and in-depth talk and analysis about professional golf and professional wrestling. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one. If you find somebody else out there, let me know and let them know, and then me and them can get together and we can start building a little army of some sorts to take over the world of sports talk. But so we're gonna start these last 2 topics off in the world of professional golf with our United States Open champion winning his first ever major, finally breaking through the glass ceiling. Congratulations, Mr. Dustin Johnson. Yay! Now, while this is good for Dustin Johnson, this is absolutely spectacular for the game of golf and the PGA as a brand and as a product, and the hardcore golf fan like myself and the casual golf fan who has lost interest since Tiger Woods fell from grace. Because to put it in terms that you can understand, Dustin Johnson always has been this whole time, and now it's just further been proven that Dustin Johnson is his generation, his golf generation, his golf era's Phil Mickelson. The big, strong, athletic guy who can hit it really long, has all the talent in the world, a lot of times takes some risks, seems to just have crazy bad luck, took forever to get that first elusive major. But we all knew that one day it was going to happen because he was just too dang good. And then it finally happened, and then look out, there's going to be a couple more, and there's going to be, cementing of legacy and going down in history books. And that is exactly what has happened and is happening with Dustin Johnson. He finally, and it wasn't without concern. The big story coming through it, other than that the 2 guys in the final pairing just completely fell apart on the final day and left it open to Dustin Johnson, who wasn't in the lead heading into the final round, left it open for him to win it. But there was some stroke confusion. I want to say about the 3rd hole, he was putting and taking some practice putting strokes, and his ball moved just like one dimple crease, and he immediately stopped and called it out to the official who was there or whatever, and the official, assessed the situation and said no penalty stroke. Go ahead, okay. Well, so he finishes out the hole, makes the putt, whatever. He's continuing on. About 3 holes later, around hole 6, they come back up to him and tell him, we've actually got some more people reviewing that, potential penalty stroke from hole 3, and they actually might assess you a penalty now, but we're not sure. So, and then instead of telling him 3, 4, 5, instead of promptly arriving at a decision and implementing that decision and informing everyone of that decision, instead they just didn't announce it at all until he was done with his entire freaking round. So he had to play his final 12 holes of a major, not knowing if he had a 2-stroke lead or a 3-stroke lead or a 4-stroke lead or a 1-stroke lead. I don't even know. Am I 4 under? Am I 3 under? I don't know. And so it just seemed like, here we go again. It's always something with this guy. But finally, he was able to overcome that last obstacle or hurdle on Sunday that always seems to get in his way. And he fulfilled his talent and his potential and won his first major. And now, as a result of it, we have 4 professional golfers right now, Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy, Jason Day, and Dustin Johnson, who are all top in the world, as good as it gets, great, all-time great talent level golfers. Okay, we are embarking on a better era in